Synthesizing.
Welcome back to the Week 13 AB Sports College Football Podcast. We're back in the studio with myself and Leonard Roses. We've got Alex Ketchum joining us on Zoom from his homeland back in Chicago in Big Ten country, even though we're getting some Big Ten weather out here in LA last weekend and still this week.
Yeah, it's been cold. That game last Saturday was cold and rainy, but I feel like the real one stuck through it.
Yeah, I stayed till the final kneel down.
Yeah.
The sun came out like a few seconds after like the final fourth down stop that we had, pushing Iowa's toe out of bounds.
And it only lasted for a few seconds.
It was just congratulating us on our victory.
It's never you know what they say? It's never over until the opposing coach gets an unsportsmanlike penalty.
That is what they say. That's what Mima always says.
That's what Mima always says.
Yeah, USC won a rainy game playing Big Ten football last week, but we don't need to play Big Ten football this week.
And we got to play Pac-12 football.
We got to play Pac-12 football.
Yeah.
All right. USC Oregon, biggest game of the week, but let's get into a little bit of the rankings that are not pulling up right now. Why don't you guys riff for a second while I figure out what's going on?
And that was a good week of college football overall. That Georgia-Texas game.
It was fantastic. Can we talk about the 27-point deficit that A&M was able to come back from?
Yeah.
That was just hands down ridiculous.
That's embarrassing for South Carolina, but I think it shows A&M can compete. They can turn it on. They can be as good as anyone in the country, even if it is for only a half.
Do you think that it could qualify as a Heisman moment for Marcel Reed when he was down 27 points at any point?
I think it can, because I know that part of the reason they were down 27 was his fault. But again, I think just the fact that you can surmount that comeback shows what an outstanding player he is. And, he stuffed the stat sheet in the process. What, like 450 yards passing?
Yeah, over 300 in the second half
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks the part to me. I keep every time I imagine a Marcel Reed Heisman campaign, I think of that fourth down touchdown he scored at Notre Dame to win the game back in week 2 or 3, whenever that was. I know Heisman moments usually come later in the year, but I can definitely imagine him holding that trophy, especially if he runs over Texas with everybody watching on Black Friday and then wins the SEC championship game, beating Alabama or whoever. You guys talked about there were a lot of big SEC games last week. There's not a lot this week because it's Cupcake Week.
Yeah.
But let's just flash up our rankings on the screen. The CFP rankings are what really matters nowadays, but the three of us, along with Nolan and Tanjun, have been voting on these, the AB poll, if you will. We're a little higher on USC, but I don't really understand why we're behind teams like Vanderbilt and Miami and Utah in the committee's rankings.
I get BYU because they got one loss. And Miami I get just because of the whole Notre Dame thing. They beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame beat us. I mean, you could say they got a better win. I personally think we have better losses than them.
Mm-hmm.
And, Michigan's a great win. We have
Utah,
good wins.
We have better wins than Utah, but they have better losses than us.
Utah does have better luck, but they haven't really beat anyone, though. I know they beat them by a lot.
They don't have a good win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they got blown out in their loss to Texas Tech, it wasn't even close. So I just don't know what you're looking at with Utah there. And then Vanderbilt, I know the committee loves Texas. They had Texas at 17,
same as us.
And we had, and they had Illinois at 21. So that's a 4-slot difference. They had Alabama at 10, but Notre Dame at 7. So we got the better loss there.
Yeah.
And our wins crush Vanderbilt's wins. Michigan, their top win is Missouri, who's in the 20s.
USC, if they beat Oregon, they'll have wins over 10-2 Oregon, presumably 9-3 Michigan.
Yeah.
9-3 Illinois.
No, we lost to Illinois.
Lost to Illinois,
yeah,
correct.
That's our loss.
Wins over 10-2 Oregon, 9-3 Michigan.
Probably 9-3 Nebraska.
Or they play Iowa. So I think
They play
8-4 Iowa, 8-4
8-4
Nebraska.
One of which will be ranked at the end of the year.
Yep.
I think we'll have at least 3 probably top 25 wins. We'll have another very high-end Big Ten win.
2 top 20 losses.
Yeah, we're going to have a real good resume that I feel like these other teams just don't have.
Vanderbilt's wins and losses have aged so poorly, though. Like that's the thing right now. It's like Vanderbilt, their biggest wins so far are Missouri and LSU. LSU, yes, they're fine, but they fired their coach. Missouri, fine, they lost their quarterback.
Yeah.
But like that's the one that is the most mind-boggling to me right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's just SEC bias. I hate to say it, but I don't really understand how else you could validate that kind of ranking.
I know that there's tiebreakers here, there's tiebreakers there. There's BYU could win the Big 12 championship and be a bid stealer. There's Miami, there's Utah, there's all this stuff. I believe that if USC beats Oregon and beats UCLA, obviously, then they're a 10-2 and they're the 3rd highest ranked team in the Big Ten. And I do not think the committee is only going to put 2 Big Ten teams in the playoff.
I agree. I think they would be under a lot of scrutiny. I think the entire playoff format would start to be questioned by the entire Big Ten.
Yep.
Other conferences, if the Big Ten only got 2 teams in. The only issue is like it depend if again it's a big if because we're probably not going to win this week.
I don't know about that.
We're not favored to win this week, but if we were to beat them, it'd matter a lot where we are ranked next week.
Correct.
Just because they would be under a lot of scrutiny if, let's say, a BYU won and they didn't drop us out.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
I think if we win against Oregon, we are guaranteed to be at number 10. Guaranteed.
But I don't know if 10's a safe spot to be.
Yeah, let's flash up what the committee's got right now. So to get in, you have to be in the top 10 in the rankings because the ACC champion and the G5 champion are going to be the 11 and the 12 seed in the playoffs. So right now, I think I don't know if Texas really has an at-large path. I think Michigan.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
I don't know if Georgia Tech really has. Actually, Georgia Tech does have an at-large path. They could beat Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech is seeing everything the same way USC fans are right now. If they beat Georgia the same way that if we beat Oregon, they're going to go. They're going to go.
I mean, they see things a little differently, though, because they also, if they have to beat
That's true.
Georgia
if they beat Pitt, then they're in the conference championship. Yeah, they clinch, I believe.
They might be a favorite in that game, too. So
yeah. But yeah, USC, Vanderbilt, Miami, Utah, BYU specifically, those first 5 out right now are the ones with real at-large chances. And Michigan, but they'd have to beat Ohio State, which is unlikely, but it's been unlikely for the past couple years, and they've still been able to do it. I've got an interesting Alabama. So, Ketchum, you said USC is likely to go to 10. What if they put USC 9, Oregon 10, Alabama 11? So Bama is on the outside looking in and has to win the SEC title game to get in. Because otherwise, you have a 10-3 Bama if they lose to A&M.
But then that causes a problem for whoever. I guess that would be Oregon.
It'd be Oregon on the cut line there.
If you're Oregon, you're miserable that week.
Yes.
With BYU and Bama. But then that's not good for us because what if BYU and Bama win?
But you'd rather it be behind Bama?
Well, I'd rather be at 10. I don't think it matters as long as we're in the top 10.
That's fair.
But I'm just saying we'd have the same things to worry about even if Bama were behind us because they could still win the SEC, which would guarantee them being over us.
It's fair.
So I don't think that matters.
And you'll also see on next week's show, but I kind of think that Auburn is going to win the Iron Bowl and knock Bama out of this picture.
Just like how I think Ole Miss is going to lose the Egg Bowl.
That honestly seems more likely.
Well, the whole Lane Kiffin saga is such a mess there that or Mississippi State's got to be locked in. They got to see this as like we've been close to
They
upset.
both have a bye week going into it.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn had a 1-possession loss to Oklahoma, 1-possession loss to A&M, 1-possession loss to Georgia, and overtime loss to Vanderbilt.
Do you think this is when they finally get it done?
I don't know. It's at home. Rivalry games doesn't really matter how good your team is. For Bama, it's going to be for a spot in the playoff. For Auburn, it's going to be a spot in the bowl game, assuming they beat whatever roast beef Tech they play this week. They'll get to 5 and 6.
The SEC, the last week of the SEC is so close overall as a conference that last week is going to be dramatic for every team.
I see Vanderbilt, Auburn, Alabama,
Oklahoma, LSU.
Think about it this way. You have 4 games in the SEC that weekend that are realistically the only 4 games in the SEC that matter left. You have Ole Miss going to Mississippi State, the favorite going to on a road game rivalry, Bama going to Auburn, A&M going to Texas, Vanderbilt going to Tennessee. All of these are road games. You can't tell me that there's no way that 2 of those home teams don't win.
Got a 5th for you. LSU, Oklahoma.
I was going to say Georgia
throw that in there.
I don't know how safe Georgia is with 2 losses.
I don't either.
Because Alabama's got to be ahead of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And Oklahoma has to be above Alabama.
I think
Georgia loses to Georgia Tech, they're probably
SEC could be messy.
I agree. But speaking of, we're speaking of the SEC right now.
That's how that 9-3 Texas team sneaks in.
No,
SEC implodes.
Nah.
Got that win over A&M.
Texas is not a playoff team. Let's look at the ACC. Got an outlook out here. Ketchum, I know you we're working on some tiebreakers, putting this thing together. Anything you want to talk about here?
Justin's outlook, apologies for the logos and the scenarios down below. I don't know what happened there. But realistically, the big one in here that you got to look at is Georgia Tech Pitt this week. If Pitt wins that game, opens up a lot of really strange scenarios because Virginia only has 1 conference game left. And it's Georgia Tech's last conference game. So if Georgia Tech wins, it's going to be pretty vanilla for what we thought was actually going to be one of the crazier conference stretches down the last few weeks. But yeah, let's get into our first edition of the title game machine.
Oh, a title game machine. All right. What do we got? Pitt, Georgia Tech.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So are these the favorites, home teams, like kind of what's expected to happen per se?
Well, no, I see Pitt beating Miami.
These are all home
teams. Yeah, that's true.
I would presume favorites as of right now.
Does this change? I guess we'll get into it.
Favorites, but like these are home teams.
Okay, yeah. I guess we'll get into it, but I know it doesn't look like this would change if Miami beat Pitt. No. And Georgia Tech and Virginia have the tiebreaker over SMU.
Cool. Yes.
Virginia, man.
Yes.
They beat up Duke. Shout out Virginia.
One of these games.
All right.
Because that's the thing. Virginia's conference resume is complete. They're done. Or they got 1 left, sorry.
1 game left against Virginia Tech. Exactly. Rivalry game, man. You never know.
Hey, Virginia Tech's got hype around their program now. Yeah.
Players excited to come in. All right. So if Pitt beats Georgia Tech.
Just 1 result.
And SMU stays beating Louisville. SMU Louisville is a sneaky big game.
Yeah.
It is a massive game, but only if Pitt beats Georgia Tech.
This would be the strangest ACC championship game of all time.
Correct.
Can you imagine one of those teams in the playoffs?
Yeah, I saw SMU last year in the playoffs. Throw 2 pick sixes in the first quarter against Penn State.
At least SMU had like a perfect season up to that point almost. This SMU team with 3 losses, that would suck.
That would suck. I would not enjoy. I don't think I'd enjoy watching this game, but you never know. Maybe it could be cool. So if Louisville wins.
1 more result.
All right, do it, Ketchum. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, if nothing else changes from that previous scenario, Louisville beats SMU this Saturday. Pitt hops up, and it is a Pitt-Virginia title game. But if you change 2 results out of that, and I know Leo's going to enjoy this one, if Pitt wins this weekend, Louisville wins this weekend, and then Miami and Virginia Tech win next weekend, Miami is in the title game.
5-way tie.
That would lead to the best playoff we could see,
for sure.
but it seems very unlikely.
I'll be disappointed if a team other than Miami or Georgia Tech wins the ACC in terms of watching the playoff. And I know a lot of people aren't big Georgia Tech fans either because they've had some close games with some bad teams like Boston College last week. But I like watching Haynes King play. I think they're a fun team that seem like it's the kind of their time to be able to make an ACC championship game or a playoff. So they got to win that game against Pitt this weekend, obviously. But it is good to know Miami has a chance because what'd you say? Like Miami ruined the CFP. You said Carson Beck ruined the CFP.
Carson Beck did single-handedly lose Miami 2 games this year.
That's true.
And yeah, college football would be a lot better if it was just Miami winning the ACC. And, because, now what? It would be like the way we're projecting it. Even you like Georgia Tech, they're still going to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I don't know if that ends well, If it's not Ole Miss, it's like Alabama or Georgia or Texas Tech. These are all going to be like 2 touchdown favorites. I don't want to watch that, but
it's understandable.
Yeah.
I'm sure we got a couple other scenarios popping in here. This time we're changing Georgia Tech to beat Pitt. And
so this is one where Virginia could lose to Virginia Tech and still makes it in.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, like I said, if Georgia Tech beats Pitt this Saturday,
they clinch it,
so
right?
It kind of takes a lot of the drama out. Yeah, they would officially clinch. It would take a lot of the drama out of it.
So Virginia, it'd be kind of Virginia or SMU maybe battling for that second spot to play them. It seems like it would eliminate Miami if Georgia Tech beats Pitt, from what I've gathered.
Correct.
I think it also might eliminate Miami if SMU beats Louisville, just because
Miami has to have a 6-2.
Miami has 2 conference losses, and SMU then at most can have 2 conference losses.
What's SMU's
with the head-to-head
schedule the rest of the way? Oh, they play Cal. Okay, so they could still lose to Cal.
But even if they lose to Cal, they're a 2-loss team, and Miami's also a 2-loss team, and they got the head-to-head.
That's true.
Which puts them in that conference championship game.
But I think there was like 3 or 4 teams tied with 2 losses in some of Ketchum's scenarios. And Miami was like the top of the tiebreakers, but I'm not positive exactly.
Yes.
Let's get to the Big 12. Unless there was anything you wanted to add about the ACC, let's throw the Big 12 up there.
All I want to say is that Virginia could be in a really interesting spot. If Louisville wins this Saturday, they're pretty safe. But if SMU wins, then they would just have to beat Virginia Tech.
All right. Win a rivalry game for the spot in the conference championship. That's awesome. Right?
I see Virginia Tech has a lot of old Penn State recruits coming to the games.
Yeah.
It's a team to look out for. They could play spoiler the next 2 weeks.
There's going to be, we've already mentioned Auburn, a team with a kind of a lost season with a chance to spoil their rival's season. Virginia Tech, sounds like maybe they'll have a chance to spoil their rival's season. Mississippi State, Ketchum. UCLA. I hate even saying it, but like if we're gonna mention those other ones, we have to mention that one too. It's the same boat. Washington, yeah, totally. They'd have a chance to ruin Oregon. Even Washington hasn't had a lost season the same way those other teams have, but they're not exactly where they want to be. But yeah, let's get into the Big 12. Texas Tech, BYU, one loss, one loss teams. And then Utah, Houston, Arizona State, and Cincinnati with 2 losses right now.
Correct.
What do we need to know,
Pretty
Ketchy?
clean. Texas Tech doesn't play this week, but they both Texas Tech and BYU have relatively reasonable paths to clinch for both of them today or this week. There's the least amount of room for error for any of these other teams that are besides Texas Tech and BYU. The big game is obviously BYU Cincinnati this Saturday. Don't sleep on Houston TCU either. That's going to be a fun one, especially after TCU just got embarrassed on the road at BYU. Oof, that could be fun.
So if BYU and Texas Tech win out, then they're in the conference championship game. But if either of them lose a game, that's when things become interesting.
Yes. But that's where like Texas Tech doesn't play this week, so they get a chance to just watch.
That's right.
And
they're
see
already
what
10-1,
and they're in
All
the
right.
best.
Let's see some situations
They're
where
in a
Cincinnati does beat BYU.
Yeah.
Yes.
It would go to Utah. 5-way tie in second place, and Utah wins that game, wins that tiebreaker. The JP poll had Utah above Texas Tech last night.
Yeah, I know he's said that he thinks Utah might be, or at least the line would be a lot closer than people expect if they played again. Texas Tech looks dominant.
They do.
They look like they can play as up there with the best in the SEC and the Big Ten.
Utah's on a heater. Like their last few games,
They win by 30 a game.
Yeah, they're cooking right now. Utah's last few games are a win over Colorado 53-7, a win over Cincinnati 45-14, and win over Baylor 55-28.
But
this is after beating Arizona State 42-10 and West Virginia 48-14.
That Arizona State game is a real win. It just the Utah hype kind of sucks because I feel like they had two big games and they lost
both
to them.
Yeah.
And that's why it's just hard to buy into them if they have to play another really big game, but
it's just for me if my rooting not if my rooting favor. If my rooting favor is for USC to make the playoffs, I would rather Texas Tech, but I know BYU's going to have one loss though. I think Utah's more likely to beat Texas Tech than BYU is.
I agree, and that's why you'd rather, I think, BYU win out because I think USC would jump BYU if they won
11-2 BYU. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think you feel confident.
And then BYU
Texas
can't
Tech
jump
handling.
USC after losing.
No, definitely not after losing the conference champ. If they're already behind, so
that's a good call, Leo.
That's why I'd personally prefer a BYU, Texas Tech conference championship game. Because you do worry though if Utah's in it, that Utah team, if they may be the better roster on a neutral field. So
yeah, it seems like one of those you don't want to let Utah into the dance.
Yeah,
they could cause some havoc. Let's see another scenario.
Correct.
Wow. TCU beat Cincinnati, then Texas Tech, Arizona State is the playoff game. I would love that. I mean, I don't think Arizona State has a chance against Texas Tech, personally.
I don't know. Wait, Texas Tech's one loss is to Arizona State.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, but Levitt's out.
Look, Levitt is out. Texas Tech's QB was hurt that game. I do think it'd be funny, just the beginning of the year, Arizona State was considered
the Big 12
team in the Big 12.
What a season!
All this chaos, and they're right back there with a chance to put themselves in the playoff once again. But yeah, with no Levitt, I don't even know. I don't think they beat Arizona.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Anything else for the Big 12? No, it looks like we're going to be moving on to the Southeastern Conference, where it just kind of means more.
Not this week.
It's Cupcake Week this week. Got Samford, Eastern Illinois, and Charlotte.
Oh, man.
Oklahoma got all their cupcakes out. Didn't they play at Temple this year or something super random?
Yes.
In middle of October. That was so weird. But as you can see, we just talked about it. A&M, Texas, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, LSU, Vandy, Tennessee, and then Texas versus Texas A&M again. Massive games a week and a half from now.
Big game this week, though. Oklahoma, Missouri. Is Bo Pribula maybe going to play?
He might. Missouri was a I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, but that with they had Pribula, they were legit.
They were good.
They were legit.
They were a
contender.
Good team with Pribula. Yeah, I do. I feel like if you're Pribula, you gotta got to try and play this game.
Did he like break his leg? Like, what's he doing back on the field like 4 weeks later?
I don't know, but the way John Mateer came back, I feel like Bo Pribula, as a competitor, would do what he can to. Cause this is Missouri's shot to they're not going to make the playoff, but to cause some havoc.
I don't know. You keep saying 9-3 Texas. What 9-3 Missouri? All right, let's get into some title game madness. Title game machine. There we go. I'm curious about this.
There it is.
All right. Ole Miss wins the Egg Bowl. Alabama wins the Iron Bowl, and A&M beats Texas. That's what we expect to happen.
I got a quick question. I think the answer is no, but if this were the SEC championship game and Texas A&M handles Alabama 35-20, is Alabama still in the playoff?
That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. That's why the committee doesn't want to punish you for making your conference title game and losing.
But I think this year's a little different than last year, where last year you're going to a 3-loss regular season team. A team that lost 2 more games in the regular season than in SMU, right? I think this year you have other qualified candidates, to use that phrase, who people are going to be upset about not making the playoff, even if, Alabama were to win that game. So, a 10-2 Miami team, there will be people who are like, well, why is Notre Dame here and not Miami?
That's why I said they could move Bama to 11 if USC beats Oregon, or figure out some way to make Alabama not be in already.
I just feel like then you're fucking over Alabama. I think Alabama's resume should have them above us if we're both 2-loss teams, above Miami if they're both 2-loss teams.
I fully agree. But if the committee doesn't want to have to kick out Bama for losing, they can eliminate that possibility entirely.
But you can't. But then what is the committee chair supposed to say in an interview when it's like, well, how come Miami's above Alabama?
Yeah, because they beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's better than Alabama. They're not.
Alabama beat Georgia.
Yeah, I know.
Georgia's better than Miami.
And you cannot, you literally could not even fathom arguing Oregon over Alabama.
Exactly.
So no. Yeah, it's tricky, but this next one's exciting for college football fans. If you flip that and Texas wins, then Georgia Bama is that SEC title game. I feel like we glaze this matchup every week on the show, but Ketchum, you got thoughts on if this was a little rematch?
I think this would get even harder for Bama. In that scenario we were just talking about, if you go in there and lose to Georgia after already beating them, and that being your premier win, I think that makes it harder for Bama.
That's
if they lose this
a
hypothetical matchup,
that's
which
not
they never lose.
Bad
Sorry.
Take.
Undo their big win
by
losing to them, and then I don't know. I wouldn't want to be an Alabama fan right now in the terms of feeling good about my playoff chances, because the Iron Bowl is tough, and the SEC championship, do you fall out when you lose?
I do think there's a chance if they were to get blown out, then maybe. I don't think Alabama though would get blown out in a game. Even if they don't win, I don't think they're getting.
I can't tell you last time I saw Alabama get blown out anywhere.
I will say, could you imagine being a Texas A&M fan? You're still gonna make the playoff, but
yeah,
season. I just feel like if you're Texas A&M, if they kind of feel so tier 2 in the SEC, this would be their chance to be yeah, we're up there with Georgia. We're up there. We won the SEC, not Georgia, not Bama, not Texas. And then this happens, and it's oh yeah, look who's back here.
Yeah.
Kirby Smart, or probably gets another SEC championship win.
Although, if they lose to Texas 21-20 on a last-second field goal, and somehow, and let's say Georgia beats Alabama, or whoever wins that game, A&M could still maybe sneak into the 4 seed and
I
not
think,
have to
yeah.
play conference championship weekend or the first round of the playoffs and get to rest up for – that might even be too long, rest up for a
Yeah,
whole month.
exactly.
But what do I know?
I,
Let's see if
I
we
think
got
if you're an
that.
A&M fan,
Kind
you
of in the
want to
driver's
win
seat right
the
now for that three
SEC.
spot.
What'd you say? They're in the driver's seat for the 3 spot?
That's where like the third spot in the SEC standings and like that 5 seed in the playoff is the most coveted spot in football right now, and it should be.
Yeah.
Or no, it shouldn't be, but like it somehow is. And me and Brooks have been talking about this well before this rendition of the 12-team playoff came out. We were talking about before last year's. Like the 5 seed is still the best because you get a bye week still. You still get, and then you get to play a cupcake home game at home, presumably against the best G5, and like be a 3 touchdown favorite. And then when you go and play your next game, it's assuming you win, you're already like in the rhythm again. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if A&M
The 5 spot
beats
is the best.
we're talking about A&M being like kind of have an inside track for the 3 seed. I think if they go undefeated, they'll take the 2.
Yeah, if they were to win the SEC,
SEC.
I do think they have the 2.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. A&M beats Texas and Auburn wins the Iron Bowl. That puts Georgia A&M as the SEC title game. I feel like that is not on a single person's radar. Like nobody's saying this could be Georgia A&M, but
I think that'd be a good football game.
this would be a 9-3 Alabama, I believe, which
They'd
would
be out.
kick them out of the playoffs.
Yes.
And then
Sorry,
yeah, no, you're good. Lots of numbers. 8-4 Texas. Yeah, that would be an interesting game.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
And if they both get beat, it's Georgia Ole Miss. Ole Miss beats so A&M loses like every tiebreaker. It looks like is that just based on their like strength of conference schedule, which has not been very high so far.
correct.
Damn.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: Ole Miss doesn't have a good one either, but it's better than A&M's.
Yeah, playing Georgia. Yeah, 9-3. There we go. 9-3 Bama would be out. 9-3 Texas would be out. I think probably. Yeah.
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 Ugh.
Unless maybe Oklahoma loses a game.
Yeah.
Wouldn't affect these SEC championship games. But
well, then maybe that's where like a 10-2 Utah and Miami come in at large.
Oregon.
Or Oregon instead of
I'm just
Texas
assuming.
A&M.
I got to get out of my head that I'm just assuming that we.
I agree. I think you keep saying like 10-2 USC and 10-2 Oregon. Like that's gonna happen. I think it will because I'm optimistic, as you'll see later. But probability-wise, it's very against us.
I just can't get it out of my head that we've already won this game and we're having the debates against all the. I can't imagine a world where we don't win. But I probably need to get on that pretty soon. All right, any more SEC title game scenarios?
Hey, what about a 10-2
Nope, that's it.
Vanderbilt team in this scenario?
I know losing to Tennessee, even though I'm not a Tennessee guy. I sent you guys I wish I could have put it in the show, the top 25 based on strength of victory this season. Like, take your losses out of the picture completely. How good are the teams you've beaten? And the top 25 was interesting. Tennessee was 56th. And
they didn't have a tough SEC schedule.
They lost to Alabama, Oklahoma, and Georgia. And their best win, their SEC wins are Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State.
Again, the reason why you feel like they're a dangerous team is because those games, the Alabama game less so, but the Georgia game
was close.
And the Oklahoma game, they could have they turned the ball over.
I think that was a pretty dominant win by my Sooners.
Didn't they like outgain Oklahoma?
Everybody outgains Oklahoma.
Hey, Brent Venables is doing a good job, but that Oklahoma team is not.
Shout out BV, Brent Venables.
I kind of feel like Oklahoma might lose to LSU.
Yeah, I agree.
Just don't trust that team.
Don't trust you don't trust BV?
No. BV seems like a good guy.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
All right, the Big Ten, the moment everybody's been waiting for. It's actually pretty simple. If Indiana and Ohio State win out, then they'll be in. But let's get into those scenarios. Oregon, Ohio State, Oregon. Conference championship game is Indiana, Ohio State. How can that change? If Michigan wins and Oregon wins out, you got a three-way tie, Oregon, Michigan, and Ohio State. And catch 'em, Oregon wins that tiebreaker.
Correct. At 11-1, not 11-0.
I would not love to see Indiana, Oregon play again. I'd rather maybe something else.
No.
But in this scenario, it makes it pretty easy on the committee that those are your 4 Big Ten playoff teams.
Yeah, those teams are in.
I don't want to see Michigan in the playoffs and not us. That would kind of suck.
No.
If Washington beats Oregon, then you got Oregon at 10-2 and probably out of the playoffs. USC at 9-3. Michigan 10-2. Michigan beats Ohio State head-to-head. They're in. Oregon beating USC and then losing to Washington. And imagine, you might have this in here later, but Ohio State does beat Michigan. That's kind of a nightmare for the Big Ten. 9-3 USC is not in. 9-3 Michigan is not in. I'm not sure if 10-2 Oregon gets in. If they lose to Washington, do they get passed by Miami?
What I will say is because they beat us and lost to Washington, they get a more credible win on their schedule.
That is true. They will have just beaten a really good USC team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably in at 10-2 if they beat
And again,
us.
I think you're kind of right about the committee wants to put 3
Big Ten
teams in.
If USC beats Oregon, I think the winner of the USC Oregon game's in the playoffs.
I would agree.
Unless they lose, unless USC beats Oregon and then loses to UCLA or something. Like
that's
I think
like a disaster.
That's a disaster. But regardless, but then I think there is a scenario where the Trojans still get into the CFP. Or the Big Ten championship game. USC, Michigan wins. I don't even know does Oregon need to lose to Washington to get us in? Because that would put them at 7-2.
Yeah.
The next one's the same.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah. So even if Oregon.
Could I say one thing about this? Again, this is a far hypothetical.
Yeah.
We need a lot to fall into place. We would need we would not just need us to beat Oregon. We'd need Michigan to beat Ohio State.
Yep.
Indiana's ranking or perception as like a clear top 2 team in the country is partly because of Oregon. You know, they haven't really played anyone else. Penn State fell off. I know, if we were to also beat Oregon in Oregon, is Indiana that much of a favorite against us?
I don't know about that. I think I don't know about that in the sense of I don't know how much of a favorite they are. I fully agree with what you're saying. What do you think, Ketch?
I agree with you. I do think Indiana would be favored pretty heavily, but I don't think it would be. I think it would be far less credible than it would have been as of right now.
It's also in Indianapolis, which sucks.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that does a lot for them. I just feel like those 2 teams are kind of like tied at the hip in terms of reputation.
Indiana and Oregon.
Yeah, right now. And any damage done to Oregon, I think could be a warning sign about the success of this Indiana football team.
I think a warning sign for sure. I think an actual adjustment by the committee or by what people
obviously
think.
Not. No.
Yes, but like for people like we're actually like thinking about this.
Yeah.
But I don't think USC beating Oregon makes people think any less of Indiana, even though it probably should.
Again, I think like the line right now on us against Oregon is like 8.5. Right? If we were to go 9.5 now. I think it's been bumped up over the week. That means
I really don't agree with that, but keep going.
If we were to beat Oregon, I mean, you can't really then put us as 9.5 point underdogs again at Indiana, because the only reason why Indiana is good is because they
beat Oregon by 10.
Oregon, and
they
I know they were out physical them, but it wasn't like a dominant win. They scored like 16 points.
I think the final score was 30-20.
Oh,
but I think that included.
I was thinking of the
six.
It was a pick 6, and I think
didn't do it.
There was a Mendoza threw like a 70-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
but other than that, he only threw one other touchdown.
It was a big play type of game for Indiana, which is maybe what USC needs. Maybe we need like a 75-yard Lemon touchdown, big King Miller run
soon. But I just feel like
they just can't get called back for an eligible man downfield.
Yeah, God, we have one of those a game. What's the deal with that?
One of the reasons why Indiana is so highly thought of is because everyone expects Oregon to crush us this week, and then it'll be like, yeah, look, Indiana beat that really good one-loss Oregon team.
Yes.
All of a sudden, if that's a two-loss Oregon team that's not in the playoffs,
Indiana wouldn't have beaten a playoff team.
Yeah.
Unless they beat Ohio State, of course.
Yeah.
All right, we got a little Brandon Walker game we're going with next. We got a speak when you see a team that can win it all. So this means if the team can't win it all, you're supposed to not speak.
All
right,
see about
let's see what we got first up.
I can't tell which ones you're on, just so you're going to have to tell me next so I could figure it out.
Okay. Wait, you got the slideshow in front of you, though?
I know, yes, but I just don't know, like, when you...
Oh, yeah. I'll switch the thing. All right, the first one's up there.
I mean, I feel like they were ranked 2 for, like, a couple, like, the first half of the season. Again, they've only lost games because Carson Beck has thrown terrible interceptions. Like, what if he just doesn't throw a pick,
They are 2 passes by Carson Beck away from being undefeated right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's like always like a bad interception too. It's not like Carson Beck. It's like, oh man, tip pat. It's like, he's like, oh, what a dumbass,
But even if they were undefeated right now, I'm not certain if I would think they could win the
If they were undefeated right now, they'd be ranked in the top 4 and be like a clear top 4, and there'd be arguments over 2, 3, and 4 week in and week out. The way, some days people are like, or maybe even 1, 2, 3, and 4. Some days people are like, oh, Texas A&M should be 1 based on this metric.
I'm not saying I think everybody in the current top 4 can win the national championship.
I think they've beaten another team who I'm going to talk for.
Okay. All right, we're going to the next one. Don't speak unless you think they can win the national championship.
I think this team can win the national championship.
Absolutely, I think so as well. Catchy?
Yeah. I mean, they got the one player, I think, in the country that is most likely to be able to lead them to do it.
I think they can beat you in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
They can beat you in a shootout. Like
they've won low-scoring games. They've won high-scoring games. They've blown teams out.
One with passing games, one with rushing games.
They've came back now.
Yeah. They've done just about everything you can do. They have kind of a very full resume of winning games.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't think so, I think, look, if their roster is considered by all accounts like a top 3 roster in college football. I know if you look at like FPI, they are the 3rd ranked team. I don't know. They got Dante Moore is really good. I think Oregon could win a national championship.
These mics only move to you if you're talking, but I'm not going to talk for Oregon.
If you guys want to go like, what team is unequivocally going to win a national championship? Yeah, then we'll only talk at one team. But if it's like, that team could win a national championship. You haven't shown me a team yet that could not do it.
I don't see it. All right, next team.
No. You want me to say something?
No, I mean, we could eat our words there, but I guess
they just look weaker than these other football teams.
Yeah, they don't. They seem like they can't beat you in multiple ways.
Yeah, it seems like if Ohio State were to come around, that'd be too much for them.
Agree. That's why they're gonna lose the Iron Bowl. Yes. Fight on.
All I'm gonna say is
this is because of that man right there.
Yes.
I feel like I've said this. I feel like Devontae Smith is like underratedly had like the greatest college football career ever because his freshman year he like caught the game-winning pass in the national championship. And then he like, has 2 great seasons and caps it off with a Heisman-winning season at receiver where he wins another national championship. And even then, it's like it took a lot more on that Alabama team than just a receiver. Hey, we love USC. I think at some point it'd stop.
Yeah. I think we can win it. Let us in the tournament. Best offense in the country.
Right.
We'll figure it out along the way. Only allowed 6 points in the second half of the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Last touchdown USC allowed in the second half was the kick return by Jadarian Price.
Yeah.
A long time ago. All right.
TJ Lateef in Iowa. Yeah, that team. I think this team can do it
because of that guy.
I think because of that guy. I think they can run on anybody, and I think that's.
I don't think all 3 of us are talking though.
I'll talk on this one.
Okay.
Just because I think they can really just they can be physical with pretty much anybody, and I'm not saying they'll win every game they play, but if you line up their best and their best 7 physical guys and like large bodies that they have on the field on both sides, they can body up against anybody in the country.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get moving a little bit. I hope no one has the studio booked after us, but if so, we only have 4 more minutes. So,
don't worry, the last one you'll know when it's the last one.
Next.
I'm gonna say something. If my friend Greg gets to tell me like, I never see USC play a college football playoff game, and my friend Greg gets to tell me like, yeah, I was at the playoff game, with Tulane. I'm gonna be so mad.
I have done a couple analytic formulas that show me that Tulane is the best G5 team in the country by a good bit, specifically over James Madison or Texas, but still they have no chance to win a national championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he has got you. I think everybody can agree on that one.
I don't think they're going to do it, but they got a chance. No. Not enough offense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob Rodriguez.
Ketchum's not speaking. It would be a little surprising if a Big 12 team won the national championship, but they have the caliber of players that are at all of these Power 2 schools because of Cody Campbell and all the oil money.
I said
got a body like oil money.
Yeah, I said this at the top. They feel like they can come onto a field and compete with the best of the SEC and the best of the Big Ten, physically, stylistically.
Yeah. All right.
It'd be a little surprising, but again, yeah.
Yeah, take it away, Leo.
Yeah.
Again, I think, I don't know if George is great at anything this year, but I think they are situationally awesome. And then I think they have the best coach.
Their floor is so low.
Yeah.
It's so high. Their floor is so high.
I don't think a team can dominate them at all. And because of that, I think they're going to be in every game. And Gunnar Stockton has shown that he can, play in these 1-score games, make stuff happen. You got the best coach in the country.
Yeah.
I think the term "your floor is so low" is good. That it shows they'll be competing really the whole time.
All right. Last team on here is the Buckeyes. It looks like we are going to get kicked out of the studio. Everybody knows Ohio State has a chance to win the championship. We're going to put our picks up on the screen real quick, just so we know what's going on. These are the games we're going to look at this week. I wish I could have more time to rub it in all these guys' faces what my record in the picks is.
In the last 3 weeks,
substantial lead going on. 16-2 in the past.
We're running out of time. We're running out of time.
But it's definitely not over. We got a couple more weeks of regular season. We got all the playoffs. I could easily go like
I think
2 and 4
we're wrapping this up. Andrew.
Hey, I think I said I could. All right, we'll throw the picks on there. I could absolutely see going. Oh, come on.
Yeah, this was a tough week to pick.
It was, especially because there's not a lot of high profile games.
Hey, look at Ketchum there.
Yeah, there's producer Alex, AB Sports, Junie Tunes, Leo, and Big N Dog. Everybody took Oklahoma. Ketchum, me and Leo, all three on this podcast, the loyalists, took the Trojans.
Yeah. Hey, you're the only
and we're the ones that took TCU. Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, we don't buy Utah or Houston. I mean,
yeah, I don't buy Houston.
I do buy Utah.
Louisville going into SMU and winning. Ketchum and I think Miller Moss can do what it takes.
Georgia did not think Miller Moss can do it.
Wow, Leo. I don't know. Do we have any picks the same? I don't know. Do I have a single pick
Oklahoma
the same in June? Oh my gosh. Oh wait, yeah, I do.
But you have the Cincinnati pick, which no one else has.
Nolan and I have one pick the same.
Wow. If you are wrong this week, everyone else is back in it. If you're right,
it's almost over.
It is over. I don't think we have 2 weeks that will be able to catch up to you.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, sorry we had to have a little abbreviated conclusion, but we're getting a little stare down right now. We'll try to get an earlier start next time. But for producer Alex, for Leo, I'm AB Sports signing off, and God bless the USA.
Amen. Hey, fight on this week.
Fight on, yeah. Let's win that game.
Fight on.
Yeah.